Joining us now to talk more is the owner of a Tesla that has been vandalized, Shawn Freed. Shawn, great to see you today. Thanks for being with us. Can you describe what happened to your Tesla? I mean, just what an awful feeling that must have been to discover.
Yeah. So it was last Sunday. My wife and my mother-in-law were headed downtown to see a show at the local theater. They parked on the street parking. And as they walked towards the theater, they noticed that there were protesters outside the theater. And then about 30 minutes after the show had started, we got video from the Tesla of this individual walking down the street, presumably after the protest. And they wrote on the car, you could see the message, "This car supports Nazis." And so then my wife and my mother-in-law came back from the theater to find that on our car.
And what did that feel like emotionally when you saw that there and that accusatory statement that was written on your vehicle?
Yeah, I'll be honest. At first, when I saw it, my first reaction was like, "Oh, this is going to be a big hassle. Now I have damage in my car." But then as I thought about it, I thought, what if my family had been there when this person walked by? And would there have been a confrontation? Would my family have been safe? So it definitely is concerning.
Yeah, it's disgusting. It's disgusting.
hmm
President Trump is labeling the attacks as domestic terrorism. Is that what you would describe this? Is that what you would describe what happened to you?
Yeah, it's a good question. I find it in a gray area because it's definitely vandalism. Is hate speech because it identifies Nazis. I'm not. It's not up to me to judge whether that's terrorism or not.
All right, let's take a listen to what some lawmakers and protesters are saying. Here we go.
I'm hearing disgust with an administration that relies on Elon Musk to slash and trash our democracy.
What's happening here is that U.S. citizens are exercising their free speech in a peaceful way to protest what's happening with Elon Musk and Donald Trump and the undermining of our democracy, the cutting of services, the cutting of foreign aid, the cutting of free speech, the threatening of judges.
Just quick, sweeping change that we've had here. How do you feel about Musk's actions since he's started radically shrinking the government and cutting spending? And how are you able to separate that from the company and from the founder?
Yeah, and I think what I would say is I support people protesting. I stand by your right of free speech to do peaceful protests, but I think that right ends when you start to damage other people's personal property, and that's when it becomes inappropriate. And I don't think that they're actually benefiting their cause by doing that.
How do you feel about average Americans being taken into the political discourse with all of this? I mean, you bought this Tesla, I presume, before all of this started happening, or at least I know a lot of Americans have, and all of a sudden you're branded as somebody that thinks a certain way, and maybe you don't.
Yeah, I think it's unfortunate. As you mentioned, I bought this Tesla 4 years ago, and I bought it because I'm an engineer and I like technology and it's a cool car, not because I was trying to make any sort of political statement whatsoever. And now I'm forced into this situation out of my own will.
Yeah. Well, look, you can't, it's hard to keep up with because the headlines just come out so fast and furious and people get so wound up about everything on, it's hard to figure out what color you're allowed to wear, what shoes you're allowed to wear, what car you're allowed to drive because this country is so divided. Well, I'm really sorry to hear that happened to you. Shawn Freed, thank you so much for joining us and sharing your story, though.
Thanks for having me.
I'm glad your family wasn't there when that happened. Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your screen. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.